That is where the Lost Boys would live. That is where Captain Hook would anchor his ship. That is Mermaid Lagoon. And Peg Leg Point is out there as well. It's just a lot of fun.
This is the Exploring the National Parks podcast with Dirt in My Shoes. My name is Ash, and I'm a former park ranger and the founder of Dirt in My Shoes. I think that the parks are best seen from the trail, and I'm here to make national park trip planning easy.
And I'm John. I carry the kids on the trails, I tell stories, and notice all the things that Ash doesn't care about much, like birds.
Join us as we show you around America's spectacular national parks.
We're sharing our favorite places, fun facts, adventures, and misadventures.
And we'll even throw in a little trip planning.
Let's start exploring.
We have officially hit my favorite season in the national parks.
Autumn!
It's the best. After Labor Day and all the kids go back to school. Unfortunately, now we have kids that go back to school. So we don't get to travel during this time as much as we used to. But holy cow, it is my favorite time to be in the parks.
Oh, yeah.
So today we wanted to talk about a national park that we love visiting in the fall. Although it is a little funny. Acadia National Park, that's where we're going today. We're talking about the Beehive Trail, which is one of the most iconic trails in any national park.
Oh, I love this one.
But I was thinking about it and I was like, I love Acadia in the fall, and people go to New England like crazy to see fall colors and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But Acadia is like sticking it to the man because they're like, nope. We're shutting down October 12th on the dot.
We're raging against the machine. We will not stay open beyond when we want to.
I know. It's so funny because it's like last time we went there in the fall, and we timed it so that we were there like the beginning of October and into October because we wanted to see the fall colors.
And the colors were spectacular.
Although they weren't peak.
Right. It wasn't even done yet.
It was just like we were starting to get some good color, and then they were like, shut down.
It's because the locals want to enjoy it themselves.
Without all of us, probably.
Exactly. We've had a great summer. Now the island's ours.
Yeah. Do you blame them, though? Oh, my gosh.
No.
4 million people on that tiny island.
I do not blame them. It's an amazing location, and you should have some time to yourself, not when it's all snowy and muddy and stuff. Yes.
So anyway, I was just having a good laugh because I was like, it's funny that Acadia's season like shuts down before the fall colors even peak.
Mm-hmm.
But they do.
I know.
They do kind of. I mean, you can still get into the park and stuff, but it's just like the campgrounds are done. Like the restaurants in town start to shut down. Like it's just like, oh, I think we're overstaying our welcome.
A lot of the hotels are like, not enough people staying, even though like we're clamoring to get there. Nope. It's like they're looking the other direction. Nobody's here. Nobody's staying here.
Nobody wants to be here right now.
I just realized this was a podcast and I was like acting out the person at the hotel looking away from the other. Anyways.
We are approaching my favorite season in the parks, especially these parks that just have really good leaf peeping, like Acadia, Great Smokies, Shenandoah. All of those are going to start peaking in October.
Right.
So
it's so good.
But today we want to talk about hiking the Beehive Trail. This is going to be a shorty episode because this trail is only 1.5 miles.
It's short, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
But you know, what's really interesting, and I have a fun game that I want to play with Ash and with whoever's listening. Anybody who's listening, I have a fun game because as I was getting ready for this episode, I realized something that I've never noticed before about Acadia. And the Beehive Trail plays a really important part in what I realized, but I never noticed how much like Neverland, Acadia, and Mount Desert Island actually is. You notice this especially the higher you climb on the Beehive Trail because you get this awesome bird's eye view perspective of the island. And I Googled tons of maps of Neverland, which honestly was a little bit
John, what are you doing?
Nothing.
I'm looking at maps of Neverland instead of working.
But yes, it was surprisingly difficult to find original maps of Neverland, but I did just to make sure I wasn't too eager for this to be true. But it absolutely is. Now, I mean, the names are a little bit different but even still, the names on Mount Desert Island, which is where Acadia is, and Acadia are very Peter Pan-ish. And the shape of the island is also very similar with some of the locations of the coves and the mountains and things like that. So to the game, and just to prove my point that Acadia is Neverland, I've got this idea. So this is how the game is going to go. I'm going to name off some places in Acadia and Mount Desert Island. And then every once in a while, I'm going to throw in some locations from Neverland, and you have to catch them. Okay, Ash, do you think you can do this?
Yeah, I do.
And if you're listening at home, do the same thing. If I say something you think is on Neverland, call me out and count, because there's 26 total items here. 18 of them are in Acadia, and 8 of them are in Neverland. And it's actually harder to figure this out than you would think. So we'll start easy. Mermaid Lagoon.
Neverland.
Okay, good. Wonderland. Ship Harbor. Seal Harbor. Cannibal Cove.
Not Cannibal Cove.
That's the Neverland. Very good.
Yeah.
Flying Mountain. Little Hunter's Beach. Hangman's Tree. Blackwoods.
But I've never heard of Flying Mountain or the Hangman's Tree.
Flying Mountain is in Acadia.
Where's that? That's a great name.
It's great. It's perfect for Peter Pan.
Yeah, okay, but...
Hangman's Tree is Neverland.
Okay,
Blackwoods.
that's Acadia.
Wildwood.
Acadia.
Blindman's Bluff.
Neverland.
It is Neverland. Good job. Otter Creek.
Acadia.
Bear Brook.
Acadia.
Crocodile Creek.
Neverland.
Breakneck Ponds.
Neverland?
That's Acadia.
That's Acadia? Breakneck Ponds?
Witch Hole Pond.
That's Acadia.
That is which, yeah. Thunder Hole.
Acadia.
Sounds very Neverland, though, doesn't it?
It does.
Skull Rock.
Is there one in Acadia? There's one in Joshua Tree. Skull Rock. We'll say Neverland.
You're correct.
Okay.
Bubble Pond.
That's Acadia.
Aunt Betty Pond.
Acadia?
Yep. Indian Point.
Neverland.
Acadia.
Really?
Yeah, that's at Mount Desert Island, but
Okay.
yes. Indian Camp.
Neverland.
Neverland. Lookout Point.
Acadia.
Yep. Otter Point.
Acadia.
Folly Island.
Acadia.
Peg Leg Point.
Neverland.
Yep.
Dude, those names are so good.
Isn't it though?
Yeah.
Like this is totally a pirate's paradise.
It is. That's crazy.
Yes. And as you climb the Beehive Trail, which we'll finally get back to the Beehive, that's what we're here for. But as you climb the Beehive and you look up and you look out into Newport Cove and the ocean, you're like, totally, dude, Captain Hook would absolutely anchor right there. Or the mermaids would absolutely be right there on those rocks.
There could totally be a mermaid lagoon.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure. Yeah.
There's tons of places for them on Mount Desert Island and in Acadia as a whole. This whole place. Oh, anyways, I wanted to prove to everyone Acadia is Neverland. And I'm pretty sure we just did that.
I would have to agree with you. I also don't know if we mentioned Acadia is in Maine.
Right.
So if you're looking for Neverland, the real Neverland, you'll find it in Maine on Mount Desert Island. Acadia
Also,
National
second
Park.
star to the right and straight on till morning. Either way, you'll get there.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, we love Acadia. It does have this really cool vibe. The Beehive Trail is the most popular trail in Acadia National Park. Because going along with that vibe that you get when you're there, like Acadia has what's known as iron rung trails, which are a purely Acadia thing, really.
Yeah.
They have several, but what we mean by iron rung trails is there are trails in Acadia that you actually have to climb up. Like they have these iron rungs bolted into the cliffs, and you have to use these iron rungs to climb up the mountain or to continue on the trail. And so there are several of them, but the Beehive being the most popular and the most famous.
Right.
Where you are getting to the top of the Beehive, which is a mountain in Acadia, with the use of these iron rungs that are bolted into the cliffs.
Yeah, it's the Angel's Landing of the East Coast.
It is, except the precipice
Right.
is, I would say, probably closer to the doom of Angel's Landing and the scariness of Angel's Landing. The Beehive is like a good primer.
That's probably true.
For some of the bigger iron rung stuff that you can do in Acadia. For me, the Beehive is enough.
Yeah. I guess I would think like the Beehive is the equivalent to Angel's Landing and Observation Point is the equivalent to...
No, because Observation Point, you don't have to hold on to chains.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So
Ash wins.
I win because I feel like when you have to hold on to metal to safely navigate a trail, it just takes it up a notch.
That is true.
Or 2 or 3 or 5.
And here in the Beehive Trail, you have to use them because you're scaling a cliff. You're scaling granite cliffs here. And it is a one-way, unlike Angel's Landing, it's a one-way loop because even though I would love Angel's Landing to be a one-way loop, you do not want to be climbing down while people are climbing up these ladders.
Yes, please don't go down the iron rungs. I was looking on All Trails just for what people were saying, and they're all like, yeah, we made sure we did it counterclockwise, so we go up the iron rungs. And I was like, you have to go up the iron rungs. Like, you don't have a choice. You do not go down the iron rungs. That's so unsafe. That's so dangerous for everybody. So, yes, you have to go up the iron rungs. So, in order to do that, you're going to park at Sand Beach, which is along the Park Loop Road. Sand Beach is kind of the main, like it's the first really big parking lot that you get to as you go on the Park Loop Road, but it does fill. And so my first do for this hike, do get there early or late.
Right.
Do not come in the middle of the day. You will not find parking at Sand Beach. They let you park in a whole lane of the road, the whole right lane of the road you can park in, and even that fills.
Right.
And the thing is if you get there, maybe the parking lot at Sand Beach is all full, but you're able to park along the road. That still means that when you get on the Beehive, it's going to be stacked.
Right.
There are going to be so many people up there that you're not going to be able to hike at a normal pace or travel at a normal pace. It's going to get backed up.
Right.
And so getting there early or late actually makes a huge difference, not only in the parking situation, but just in your overall enjoyment of the trail, really.
What would you say to people that are like, I don't think I'll be able to get parking, but I'll take the park shuttle in?
I mean, the park shuttle is fine. The park shuttle is great, actually. Acadia has a great shuttle.
The trail will be pretty crowded.
The trail will be stacked, yeah. And so I just personally, especially if you're a little nervous about the cliffs and the heights, I like to be able to kind of do it on my own terms.
Right.
Right? I don't want to feel like there's people behind me that are like pushing me to go faster.
Right.
And I don't want to feel like there's so many people in front of me that I get stuck on an iron rung and I can't move forward.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So for me, because I definitely am more scared of heights, I think, than you are. And I'm more cautious.
Yeah, I think that's
than
true.
you are. And so for me, I would rather get up nice and early and get on the trail so that I can hike it kind of at my own pace and feel like I'm not being rushed by people.
Right.
That's a big deal to me, actually, on these trails that do require a little bit extra.
Yeah, well, because they're choke points, right? Or they're bottlenecks, basically, where a lot of people in the lines can build up around certain areas. And you don't want, like you said, you don't want to be stuck on a ladder looking at somebody's butt, waiting for them.
I've got nowhere to go. Also, I feel like people turn kind of into idiots on trails like this.
Well, you'll have people
especially
climbing.
when they get impatient and stuff and they try to climb around you. Nope. I'm not going to deal with that crazy. So you will find me there early in the morning or like during dinner time or a little bit later.
Right.
When things calm down.
Which honestly, yeah, you have to get up early or something like that. But wow, the sun and the views, everything is perfect at those times.
It is amazing to be out hiking when there aren't a million people surrounding you.
Yeah.
It's the best. So I highly recommend the timing on this one, not only the timing of day, but also watch the weather, because you don't want to be on this iron rung trail climbing up cliffs if everything is all wet.
Right.
And Acadia does get a lot of rain.
Your hands and your feet will slip.
Yeah.
It's not like these are all no slip, whatever guardrail things.
Just a piece of metal.
Yeah, exactly. It really is. It's like you're holding on to a lead pipe.
Yeah.
Is really all it is.
Yeah. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Check the weather. It can be really foggy in the mornings, especially really early mornings in this park. So you don't want to go too early.
Right.
Because you want the fog to have time to burn off. You want to get there before the crowds get really bad. So sometimes evenings just are the better option all around, depending on what the weather looks like. So another thing, bring a map. This trail is only 1.5 miles round trip.
Yes.
You gain 500 feet of elevation. It's pretty straightforward, you would think.
She looks at me whenever she says that, when she says, bring a map.
Acadia is confusing. I don't blame you. Even like on my 4-day itinerary for Acadia or something, like trying to explain to people which route to take for these trails, it's like you cross so many other trails.
Yeah.
As you're hiking around this park. And so it's just really wise to have a map with you so that you can know where you are.
Yeah, I've gotten lost and I've gone on the wrong trail in Acadia because if you look at the park brochure map that they have on nps.gov or the one that they give you, there is a network of trails that go throughout this park and they all intersect in different places. And a lot of times the only way that you can distinguish between what trails go in which direction is the color of paint that they mark the trees with along the route that you're taking. And so sometimes they can be as challenging as light blue, dark blue.
Yeah.
Or something like white versus gray or something like that, you know. And so if you don't pay attention, like I didn't, you will get lost. You'll take a right instead of a left, and all of a sudden you'll be like, where is the parking lot?
But even on the Beehive, as you're coming down off the Beehive, there's several cross trails that confuse people. So do bring a map. Do go early or late in the day. Don't hike if the weather is bad. Don't hike if you're scared of heights.
Right.
If you're just like mildly scared of heights and you're like, I think I can do this, go for it. But if you are deathly scared of heights, this is not the trail for you.
Right.
We'll talk about a back way that you can go if you want to get to the top still without all the scary iron rung ladders and bridges and stuff. But this really isn't one where you're going to want to be like, I'm really scared of heights, let's do it, you know?
Yeah, because if you freeze up halfway through, I mean, it's kind of like a roller coaster ride. Once you're buckled in, you're kind of stuck there.
Yeah. And it doesn't go as fast as a roller coaster. You're stuck there for a good 30 minutes.
Exactly.
The other thing, and this is a question I get a lot, kids. Do we take kids on this trail?
Our kids haven't done it yet.
Younger kids, I would say no. I think if they get to the age where they can understand, and I say the same thing about like the Angel's Landing Trail in Zion, where you have to hold on to the chains. It's very similar. It's a very similar scariness when you're doing this. If they're at the age where they totally understand, like if I let go of this or if I misstep, I will fall down the cliff and die. They can compute that in their brain.
Appreciate how important this is.
And they know how they cannot fool around. They cannot be goofy. They cannot do stupid things. Like,
yeah.
If they're the age where they can handle that, then I think they would be okay on this trail. But if they are not, then I would leave them back.
Right.
Because they will have to hike by themselves. There's not, like, you're not going to be able to carry your kid up the iron rung ladder.
Yeah.
So they're going to need to be able to do it themselves, and you're going to need to feel like they can do it themselves without falling.
Right.
So our kids have not, but we're going to go next year, and we will take them on it. I think they're old enough and mature enough now to do that.
Yeah.
So.
It's true.
But they weren't last time we were there.
No, it's true. It is very true. And so I definitely a real concern people have. So take it seriously. But all of these things, you go prepared, you go in the right situation. This can be the most amazing trail.
It is. It really is. I mean, every time we go to Acadia, it is a highlight.
Yes.
And I always hike it by myself because, like I said, we haven't taken our kids on this one, so we'll switch off. So I solo hike it, and then I'll come down, and then John will go. It's still a highlight.
Yeah.
I think easily for both of us.
Yep. You always meet some really fun people on the trail.
Yeah,
so
it's always an adventure. So all of those disclaimers aside, let's talk about what the actual trail looks like and what to expect.
Right.
So I mentioned you park at Sand Beach, and then you cross the street, and you get on what's called the Bull Trail.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll hike the Bull Trail for 0.2 miles just up. It's pretty rocky.
Mm-hmm.
You're working your way over, and then you'll see the turnoff to the Beehive.
Yep.
And at that point, you'll take that turnoff, and then it's almost immediate cliffs.
Yeah, it doesn't warm you up slowly.
It doesn't. And you're on the cliffs for about 0.3 miles. It's not a long trail.
Mm-mm.
You're not spending a ton of time on here, but it does take a while because as you're working your way up these cliffs, and not the whole thing is iron rungs.
Right.
Like, there is some actual trail.
Yeah.
But you'll reach some areas where you'll need assistance going up and over the rocks. And then that's where they'll have these iron rungs bolted into the granite cliffs for you to climb
Mm-hmm.
and for you to navigate to get higher and higher up on the Beehive.
Yeah. If you remember the old school, like, Donkey Kong games that you'd play on, like, Super Nintendo or something like that, where you'd, like, go up a ladder and then you'd have to go right over, like, a floor and then jump a barrel and then go up another ladder, and you're dodging barrels back and forth, but you're going left and right and up and down and stuff like that. That's kind of how it looks. And actually, you can sort of see it really good if you get on Google Maps, which is where I was figuring out all my Neverland stuff. If you get on Google Maps and push on the 3D button and you zoom in on the Beehive, you can see how the trail kind of switchbacks up and goes back and forth like a snake going up with these ladders. It's pretty cool, but you realize at that point, oh, you are going right up the mountain here.
There's even one section, I think it's my favorite part. It's pretty scary, but where they have like an iron rung bridge almost. So you are not even stepping on rock. You're walking across these iron rungs at a place where there was no rock to make a trail.
Right. They made something for you to walk on.
They like put these things going out so that you could walk around and continue on up the Beehive. So that part is always a little freaky, but I love it.
Yes.
It's like, holy cow.
Super cool.
Yeah. So at 0.3 miles, you're using these iron rung ladders and bridges to scale the cliffs of the Beehive. And then you'll get to the top. You're 520 feet above sea level. You're right next to the sea. So it's pretty much that straight 520 up. And then you just have views all around. And you'll have views as you're hiking too. So definitely take your time because it's pretty incredible to be up there on those iron rungs, looking out over the beautiful Acadia landscape. You've got Sand Beach right below you. You've got the ocean right out there. Lots of forests, tree-covered mountains that you can see. So it is absolutely beautiful, totally worth the climb. But, I mean, the real adventure is in the climb.
Yeah, it's true. The adventurous part is all of the ladders and everything that you need to climb up to get to that point, and then 360-degree views. It's awesome. And then you look around and you're like, that is where the Lost Boys would live. That is where Captain Hook would anchor his ship. That is Mermaid Lagoon. And Peg Leg Point is out there as well. It's just a lot of fun. But then you've done the stressful part and you take a deep breath as you kind of circle back around and make your way back towards the parking area.
So once you reach the summit, then you just go back down. You continue following the blazes, the paint down on the rocks that will show you your way down the Beehive. Like I said, do not try to go down the iron rung section, please.
Right. You'll put yourself and others in danger.
But there is a trail that goes down the backside of the Beehive, and you continue following that. If you follow it for 0.3 miles, you will hit the bowl, which is a small pond back in here. It's really picturesque, super pretty. And then you'll take a left and you'll kind of follow it just for a minute, and then you'll take another left back to the parking lot.
Right.
And you'll continue on the bowl trail straight back down to the parking lot, passing by that intersection that you took to get up the Beehive towards the beginning.
Right.
So This is the area where it gets a little bit confusing because there is another connector trail if you don't want to go all the way to the bowl, which I mean, it's not that far, 0.3 miles.
Right.
But if you don't want to do that, you can actually take the connector trail and cut over and bypass the bowl and just go back down to the parking lot that way. I think the South Champlain trail is down in there. And so it just it gets confusing. Like I said, this is the area where you're going to want to map or at least know exactly which route you're trying to take to get back to the parking.
Yeah, because a lot of stuff happens really fast in 0.3 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty quick, especially because you're coming downhill. You're moving fast. Lots of stuff is coming at you. So especially before you take off on this trail, look at all the connector trails and recognize them so that you know what's coming your way, so that you can make the right choices at each intersection to make sure you know where you're going.
This is not the one I want. We want the next one.
Yep.
The other thing is, and I said, if you don't want to hike the Iron Rung section, but you still want to get to the top of the Beehive, or maybe your group wants to split up and some of you want to do the Iron Rung, but you all want to meet at the top of the Beehive, it's the bowl trail that you'll use to get yourself up the backside of the Beehive and up to the top.
Right. You just do this backwards.
Yeah. You bypass the Iron Rungs. You continue on the bowl trail instead of turning off on the Beehive, and then you go up the backside.
Right.
So that's another option too. If you're just listening to this going, no, I don't think those Iron Rungs are for me. That's another way that you can still get to the top of the mountain and enjoy all the views with everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Don't let the Iron Rungs deter you from that amazing view that you get at the top and the 360-degree views of Acadia and Mount Desert Island. You've got to get that view. It's so iconic. And so either way, up the rungs or around the back, it's awesome.
So that's the Beehive Trail. I mean, like I said, it's pretty short. It packs a punch, is so much adrenaline rushing through your body as you're navigating these iron rungs on the cliffs, but it is one of the coolest hikes you can do in any national park.
Right.
So today for your task, head over to the Dirt in My Shoes Instagram or Facebook page. We will post a picture of those iron rungs. You tell us, would you hike this trail? If you have hiked the trail, chime in. Let us know how you enjoyed it. But we would like to know, is this a trail that you are hoping to hike?
And thank you to all those of you who have left reviews for the Exploring the National Parks podcast. If you're enjoying it, please, we would love to hear from you. Please give us a 5-star review or leave a comment on the YouTube video. We love communicating and hearing back from you. Thanks a lot. We appreciate you. And please go get some dirt in your shoes.